I mean, is there really? I mean, I never.
What's the other worms besides tapeworms that she's saying?
They tested them and the dogs had worms.
And every other worm.
Explain that.
Yeah, what's the
every other worm? Dogs carry worms, and dogs that live in rural, like rural farming, ranch environments are exposed to tapeworms because of being around the gophers.
What's the other worms, though?
Yeah, she doesn't say. So it's hard for me to argue what she's even talking about. The gophers out there have fleas, and the fleas can bite the dogs, and that's how they transmit the tapeworm. But to say we did not worm those dogs is a fallacy. To say a dog does not have worms, that would be a fallacy.
Did you worm your dogs?
Yeah, it's right here.
Is this pile of all this? Is this vaccinations and
right there?
worms?
It's a strongid. That's a wormer for the dogs. We also covered them with Elbon, which was a preventative treatment against coccidia, which is another parasite, and that's carried by chickens.
Now, according to your vet, had the dogs had their proper medication and everything they were supposed to have?
My vets don't talk like this. The vets I rationally go to about questions and concerns and issues weren't turning me in saying this girl is neglecting these dogs. And those vets had actually been on my property. This lady I have never met, I've never seen. She's never been to my property, nor would I ever take a dog to her. She's out there.
Sucking on that gas tube too long.
Yeah. The thing she's coming up with is pure speculation, and it's to the point that it's false allegations that's slander.
Yeah.
It's based on no factual information, and to look at those dogs disproves everything she said.
Me.
Gumming you. Is that a little boy or a little girl?
This is a little boy.
So did you go out to the house?
Yes.
And what was your take? Are you a witness? Or?
No.
Okay.
Not yet.
Okay. What was your take on the whole situation?
It was disgusting. It really was. You had to hold your breath going in, and it was the ammonia smell in the house was just horrible from all the cat urine, the dog feces, everywhere.
Well, my bigger question is, if it smelled so bad, why did she stay in there? Why did she stay in there to the point people went into the house concerned that she was in there without the proper authorities and watched her go through all my personal belongings?
What's the house got to do with anything anyway, if it smelled horrible or not?
Well, she's saying it wasn't an environment where these dogs be. The dogs weren't kept in the house.
Yeah.
And if you look at the dogs, I mean, none of those dogs are unclean, unshaven, unkept, unfed, unsocialized, anything. So everything they're saying, you can just tell their credibility.
Where's the pictures?
Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't believe a word they say.
So she was actually in your house? You heard somebody told you she was in your house snooping around?
Well, you heard Gene Hodges' testimony. He said he followed her into the house because he saw her when there was no reason for her to go into my home. The dogs were all kept outside. And the dog she's holding there, those dogs were actually with a friend of mine in a foster home, so that they would be safe. And they went up and confiscated the dogs from the lady who resides in Fairfield, Montana. So they don't have a truthful story to tell. That dog was with a friend of mine up in Fairfield, and they went up after him.
What was the dog doing in the closet?
Missy Lou is one of my personal dogs. She did have a litter of puppies, and I did put those dogs in the closet for safekeeping. I did. I admit to that.
What about the carcass?
The carcass was a bone that Missy Lou, there was, if you look at pictures of the property, there was bones throughout the property in the house.
Because
whatever.
Those were the bones that you would go and buy to bring to the dog.
So that was her bone then.
To help the dog's
so
teeth.
Missy Lou had a bone with her. Exactly. So all of this stuff about I lived in dog feces, if that was true, why did she remain knee deep in dog feces and rummage through my house? I mean, a normal reaction to that would have, wouldn't you leave, or would you stay in a house where there's knee deep in dog feces?
No.
So,
Pam,
but you don't hear her saying that. She didn't say I left.
What exactly took place to your house? What happened to your house after you left? You told me that you came home and your whole home had just been ransacked.
And there's pictures. I've got pictures of my home. I've got pictures of the carpet, the dogs in the home. You don't see the stains, the dog feces, all the things they talk about. The other thing is, when I came back, what these people had done. I mean, they're telling you all these horrendous stories, and that I'm this and I'm that. Actually, what you've seen these people did to a home is just unexplainable. Every clothes in my closet was on the floor and stomped on. My dressers were overturned. Doors were ripped off the hinges. So tell me how calling me crazy and that I did all these horrendous things justify what they actually went into a home and did.
So what I'm seeing is the dogs didn't really tear your home up, or mess your home up as much as the people did. They came in and
right,
tore
and,
your
and she's
house
saying that there was
pieces.
dog feces knee deep and it was horrendous. She didn't say I turned around, walked out, I couldn't go in there.
Mm-hmm.
She went in there and started throwing stuff all over the floor. And
How could she even get in there if it was knee deep?
see, I mean, if people would stop and question the validity of these stories or their responses, it's not rational and it's not credible. I mean, they're just trying to justify stealing those dogs, and we don't truly know what happened to those dogs. I would like to ask her what happened to those dogs. How much did they charge for those dogs they went up to Fairfield, Montana and obtained? They were not on my property. That's what they were tearing my house over, is looking for these small little lap dogs like that. So how much money did she get for those dogs right there?
So were you when you put the dog in the closet? Were you trying to basically keep that dog from getting stolen from you?
It was one of my personal dogs. It was Missy Lou, and they came out looking for chihuahuas, and we said, hey, there's no chihuahuas here. They were looking for these little lap dogs. Why? Now, a rational person would ask, why were they looking for chihuahuas when there's all these dogs on the property? They're saying there wasn't kibbles, there's just carcasses for eating. But yet the concern was for chihuahuas, and they brought out a rescue group for chihuahuas. And once they didn't find the chihuahuas, why would you start tearing somebody's house apart? And all the justification is because she was crazy and not taking care of those dogs. Yet have you guys seen one solid bit of concrete evidence that I lived in dog feces or did not take care of these dogs?
They wanted the chihuahuas so they could sell them and make big bucks.
And I'd like to know how much she got for those dogs. Absolutely. Those were not on the property. They were given to a friend. They were in foster care. To get them out of the picture. Because that's what they were after, is those small dogs. Now look at...
did she have? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Of those, I don't know, because those were born, I don't know. Those were not at the house. And the thing is, this is all about public nuisance and hoarding and somebody not taking. I haven't seen anything that indicates anything that they have said is true whatsoever. In fact, all
Everything
evidence
they've
is
done
to
is
the
illegal.
contrary. And everything they've done has been a horrendous drama, slanderous allegation they cannot prove.
So they came into your house without a warrant for your arrest. After you'd spent thousands, not just hundreds, but thousands of dollars on storing this up, they came in, took away everything that you'd spent your money on. Then they threw you in jail, and then they took your animals away from you.
But they weren't looking at the dogs in the refuge. They're in my home looking at my personal dogs. Missy Lou is a personal dog. They're looking for chihuahuas, personal dogs. What do those dogs have to do with the public nuisance complaint?